I would now like to say that one of the things that we talked about was that we wanted you to hear the latest research. We think it's exciting, we think it's hopeful, but we also know that for every one of us, there's life in the here and now. There's life for our children who have these significant genetic mutations, and there's their life for their siblings. Kimberly Hoffman is 18. She lives in South Australia. She has 2 brothers and 1 sister. Her sister Katie has many diagnoses, including Dravet, autism level 3 in both domains, severe intellectual disability, sleep disorder, and periodic disorder movement. Katie's childhood has been marked by periods of poor seizure control and developmental regressions. And Kimberly is going to share of some practical strategies that have helped her and her siblings cope with the impact that this has had on the entire family. So a big welcome for Kimberly.
Thank you very much for your introduction. So I am the second eldest of 4, our youngest sibling being Katie, and we have 2 incredible parents, Tanya and Wayne, who are here today. As mentioned, I'll be sharing some insight into what life with Katie looks like, the adversities attached, along with the privileges and some practical strategies which have been helpful for us as a family. I would like to alert you for potential triggers as I describe Katie and our family's lifestyle. How do I describe our precious Katie? She is a spunky little girl with much character, sass, and a very compassionate heart. Her childhood has been marked with seizures and developmental regressions, a constant battle of 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Her abilities can vary anything from being wheelchair dependent, unable to communicate and peg-fed, to being able to walk, verbally communicate and feed herself, as you can see in these 2 photographs. The astounding difference can be baffling. We have learnt to celebrate the wins, no matter how big or small. Her abilities are currently the best we've seen them in the last 5 years. So for those of you who are in a rough patch, I just ask you guys to please keep your hope. Raising such a unique child has had its effects on all of us, both individually and collectively. Katie has broadened my world from such a young age. At the age of 9, I learned about all different types of specialists. This amazed me because prior to Katie, I had no idea such occupations existed. Unfortunately, coupled with such awe, it can at times be really challenging. Our family has experienced trauma and pain from different seizure and hospital experiences. For us as siblings, it at times can feel like we are overlooked or missed. I say this not to dampen the mood, but to raise awareness. Despite these feelings, my family love one another and we adore Katie. Some practicalities which have tremendously helped my siblings and I are simple but effective. Seizures and ambulances became a large part of our lives, and to combat the panic in these situations, our parents delegated different roles to us children. This made us feel important, needed, and it also allowed us to know how to take action in these situations. The drill was 1 child called the ambulance, 1 child located the midazolam, 1 child went to the top of our driveway on watch for the ambulance, but the worst role was filming it. I understand that footage is required for professional use. However, as a young child, watching and filming my mum care for Katie in such a state was overwhelmingly tough and almost made me feel helpless. My parents were always very prepared and created emergency jump bags for every car so that it wouldn't matter where we were, we had the resources needed for an emergency or hospital experience. Aside from these designated roles, we also have codes. Mum always texts us to let us know Katie's okay, which relieves much anxiety. Communication is vital. This leads me to my next strategy. As a result of such trauma, a missed call from mum or dad can well up panic. To combat this, we have a 3-call policy. If it's not an emergency, only call twice. If you call 3 times, that implies it's more serious. In terms of feeling isolated, something that has really been instrumental in helping me feel normalised is a friendship I have formed with someone who also has a sibling with a range of disabilities. My younger brother, he has a friend in America who we connected with via the American Dravet group. They message each other about all sorts of things, and despite having never met, they are well connected. The reality is, sometimes you have to surround yourself with people who share a similar story to you in order to feel normal. Look to your left and right. This is your community, but creating a community for your children is important too. I would, however, like to make you aware that it may be important to prepare for other children to supersede yours. If your child with a disability is the older sibling, your younger child may very well supersede them. And it's tough, it sucks, and I can't make it sound glamorous, But talk about it with your kids, provide them with opportunities and language which allow them to talk about their grief and loss. My childhood consisted of many after-school appointments for Katie. We would spend hours at appointments. Something that really helped was that our parents would make us aware of these appointments, and we could then bring homework to do in those time slots. Organisation and time management is imperative. Time is so valuable, but something which is on high demand in our family. It's something I need. Knowing your kids' needs allow you to know how to make them feel loved and acknowledged. I've learned to be intentional with the time I spend with my parents. I pick when best suits both of us, and I take opportunities when presented. But again, you've got to communicate it. Mum and Dad have always made sure that each child has an extracurriculum activity which is purely theirs. This has allowed all of us to feel loved and important. For example, I have a passion for music, and all throughout school did singing lessons. These lessons were at school during lunchtimes. This meant my parents didn't need additional time in their day to take me there, as I was already at school. For parents who have more than one child, the key is to make them feel individual, but you don't have to overcomplicate it for yourself. As I've gotten older, I've learned that they have given each of us kids different information about Katie and her health, dependent upon what we can handle. And as I've gotten older, they've become more transparent. It's okay to protect other children. Even though I've personally battled with not knowing or not understanding, I've learned that I don't actually need to know everything. Finally, I would recommend communication with your children's teachers. Some will understand and others won't, but it's important to keep them somewhat in the loop because they can't be aware of what they don't know. I would like to thank all these professionals who are investing so much into the research for our families, and I hope that some of these practicalities can help some of your families. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for Kimberly? I see tears. Anybody have any questions? We've got one. Yeah. Because I think these are very practical tips. Moms and dads always need extra help from kids.
Hi, yeah, it's on. Kimberly, I just want to say that was so inspirational, and it means so much to hear your story because I've been feeling lately that there's a real gap in the system with supporting siblings of children with disabilities, and I think that's a discussion that we all really need to have, and we really need to push our government and the services available to support other people like you. So I just want to let you know that, what you said is very important, and I'm glad that you said it. And please keep saying it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, if you don't mind, because I know it's all on tape, but if you want to write up a copy of your comments, we'll post them on the website so that all parents who aren't here or didn't get to come can see what your great tips. All right? Everybody, thank you so much again to Kimberly.